It's time for the Scream season once again, and I wanted to make this video last year, but unfortunately, I couldn't. Now, movies are sometimes like the undead. They keep coming back around, you know, Night of the Living Dead, Halloween, etc. And that is the case for today's video. George Méliès produced Le Manoir du Diable, commonly referred to as the Haunted Castle or the House of the Devil, in 1898, just a few years after the first filmmakers began to appear in the mid-1890s. It is primarily regarded as the earliest horror film. Cauldrons, moving skeletons, ghosts, shape-shifting bats, and ultimately the devil himself are all included in this 3-minute short. Although it wasn't meant to be a frightful movie, it was more amazing as was Méliès' MO, his modus operandi. It was the first instance of a movie to feature the paranormal and lay the stage for what was to follow. Now, this movie wasn't even rediscovered until 1977. Now, it's impossible to predict where the genre will go over the next 100 years, but occasionally, reflecting on the difficult path we've taken to get here is helpful. Oh yeah, George made one of the first sci-fi films. You know the one. Now, jump ahead half a century or so in the 1920s and 30s, considered by some to be the golden age of horror. Notable films included Nosferatu, a Dracula adaptation, and Frankenstein, a Mary Shelley adaptation. Now, this period also saw the classic Dracula starring Bela Lugosi as the bloodthirsty Count in Bram Stoker's adaptation. When we get to the 1950s and 60s, the post-World War II mindset, such as the atomic weapons used to end World War II and the brewing Cold War, had an influence on the horror movies. Now, here we have films like Godzilla that dealt with the subject of man interfering with nature. We also had alien invasion films. Now, aliens were the other, and we, as Americans, feared them. The other were communists, African Americans, and anyone who interrupted our Norman Rockwell rose-colored picture of life in the 1950s and 60s. The Twilight Zone showed us many, many examples of this. But we also had the Hammer horror films, which started in the 1930s and produced abundant films in the 50s. But when they did, it was close to world supremacy. Once more, adaptations of well-known books and TV shows like Frankenstein, Dracula, and The Mummy put the Hammer movies on the map. And let's not forget Alfred Hitchcock, the British horror director who gave us Psycho, The Birds, and many others. Then we had the 3D years of gimmickry. Theater seats equipped with electric buzzers, paid stooges yelling and acting sick in the audience. In the 1950s and 60s, filmmakers did everything and anything to frighten moviegoers even more. During that time, this preference for interaction spread to other genres but swiftly died off, partly because of the astronomical cost involved. Now, this led to the opposite end of the spectrum for horror films, particularly exceedingly low-budget movies. Now, these films were considered popcorn films, cheap and cheesy, but they still entertained. Then came William Castle. Today we are looking at one of his films, or actually a remake of one of his films, Thir13en Ghosts from 2001. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I'm Rob, and this is A Constantly Racing Mind. So let's start at the beginning. William Castle, born William Schloss Jr. in 1913, now over 100 years ago in New York City, he changed his name to Castle, which is just a translation from German of his last name. Orphaned at 11, he dropped out of school to work at a local theater at 15. Now apparently, Columbia Pictures employed him after noticing his aptitude for promotion. After learning the craft and developing a reputation for producing quality B-movies, oxymoron there, on time and within budget, he became a director. He finally went it alone and began producing and directing thrillers, which he successfully promoted, using gimmicks to his distinctive advantage despite their modest budget. He was also the producer of Rosemary's Baby. The man directed many films. Not all of them horror films. He directed a range of films, including crime, drama, film noir, thrillers, and of course, his horror films. This film follows a family who inherits a haunted house. Now, after passing away, his reclusive Dr. Zorba bequeathed his house to his unlucky nephew, Cyrus Zorba, and his family. Like many homes, there is always the potential for something dark to inhabit your home. No? No, you say? Perhaps there was a death connected to the construction of your new home. Or maybe it was an older home, passed from one owner to another, from one generation on down. Perhaps something terrible happened in that house, and a dark energy is lingering. You may not notice it when you are wide awake, but late at night, when the house is quiet, you may. You may notice a shadow or a presence out of the corner of your eye, but nothing is there. Or lighting in a part of the house seems a little dimmer, even though a brand new light bulb has been installed. But it fails to fully penetrate those dark corners. Don't lie. It's happened to you. If you're new here, we cover a wide range of film genres, including sci-fi, horror, action-adventure, prop culture, and all things geek. So if you want more videos like this, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated when I do create new content. Now, the plot of the original 13 Ghosts bears a resemblance to the remake that most of us know. The generalities are all there. Now, the family in the remake is the Criticos. It's a nice Greek name, I suppose. In the original, the family name is Zorba, as in Zorba the Greek. Go figure. Now, the original family is your basic 1950s, 60s nuclear family. The dad is Cyrus. More about that in a moment. The wife and his mother is Hilda, who is alive and quite healthy. Cy works at the Los Angeles County Museum of Natural History, and his wife calls him to tell them that their furniture is being taken away. Cy sucks at money and management and apparently doesn't pay his bills. They have a son named Arthur, nicknamed Buck, and a daughter named Medea. The family inherits a haunted mansion left to Cyrus and his family by his uncle Plato. The 2001 version follows a similar plot, however, with some changes. The plot is more sinister than the original, with more visual effects and extensive makeup used to depict the ghost and the deaths of several characters. Another change is the names of the characters. Tony Shalhoub is the widowed mathematician Arthur Criticos and his two kids. Shannon Elizabeth plays Kathy, and a more updated name for the kid brother, now named Bobby, and played by Alex Roberts. Never heard from him again. For some reason, they have a woman to watch over Bobby, Maggie Bess, played by rap artist Rod Diggs. Now, F. Murray Abrams plays Arthur's rich and eccentric uncle, Cyrus. Some general plot points remain the same, but others have been changed. In the original, a shady lawyer named Benjamin Rush was played by Adam 12's Martin Milner, who is now called Ben Moss, and played by J.R. Bourne. The updated version goes into more depth about how Uncle Cyrus, Criticos, utilizes a medium played by Matthew Lillard, Shaggy, from Scooby-Doo, named Dennis Rathkin. A couple more character swaps, whereas Plato's haunted house came with a creepy housekeeper played by Margaret Hamilton, the Wicked Witch of the West herself. She played Elaine Zachariades. In the new version, they have the Maggie character. Now, this latest version introduces a new character named Kalina Ortiza, I believe, played by Beth Davids. I don't want to delve too deeply into the ghosts in this video. I'll say that for another video. In this video, I want to focus on the house itself. The mansion features glass walls and was reinforced with steel. The glass walls were etched with Latin incantations to hold the ghosts back. Uncle Cyrus was a stickler for details. But I want to talk about how to get into the cryptic, eerie mansion of this technological wonder. Near the beginning of the film, we see the family dynamic. Without their mother, who died in a fire, a chaotic scene in the kitchen during breakfast. Bobby is being a jerk to his sister Kathy. Meanwhile, Arthur is running late and trying to grab some coffee. He trips on Bobby's scooter. Now there's a knock on the door, and it turns out to be Ben Moss, Cyrus's lawyer. Ben is there to read Cyrus's will, or more accurately, present a video of Cyrus letting his nephew know that he has inherited his home outside the city. Now Ben then presents a large metallic key. Of course, the family is ecstatic. Later, they drive to the outskirts of town. Ben arrives just before Arthur and his family. Already there is Dennis dressed in an orange jumpsuit, portraying himself as an electric company worker. Now he tells Ben that over 5,000 customers are without power and blames the house for the blackout. The first notable thing about the house is that it's made of glass. Arthur inserts the key, which we will be opening up here, and opens the door. Now the door slides open and the family, Ben and Dennis, enter. As they enter, they are greeted by a large samurai suit, not unlike my Darth Vader suit and my costume. In the background, gears and other mechanisms shift and move as the family explores the unique artifacts from around the world. They look at the glass walls as Miss Maggie declares that she doesn't do windows. The walls of the mansion are engraved with Latin inscriptions drawn from occult and binding rituals. These scripts are protective spells, barriers that confine the spirits within the designated rooms and protect human occupants, at least temporarily. Many of the phrases are based on real medieval Latin invocations used in exorcisms and protective magic. For example, Oculus Infernum translates to the Eye of Hell. Other visible texts include Latin seals and incantations of containment, referencing angelic names, demonic hierarchies, and phrases resembling Obex Inferni, barrier of hell. Additionally, these inscriptions serve as digital locks, activated by the house's intricate system of gears and sliding glass panels. The result is a literal labyrinth of shifting transparent walls and traps, a fusion of mechanical precision and arcane mysticism. Now, the family scene notices samurai swords, astrolabes. They see a large dial inset in the floor, which is turning. Other occult artifacts include the mechanisms of the Black Zodiac, rotating metal rings inscribed with astrological and demonic sigils. Ancient mirrors, relics, and manuscripts found in the control room evoke both 16th century alchemical instruments and medieval grimoires. And ultimately, there is the Bacillus machine, a reference to Bacillus, the fictional Renaissance astrologer who first documented the Black Zodiac in design and designated the Infernal Eye. The film depicts these elements that root the mansion's horror in esoteric history, creating a hybrid world of science and sorcery. This house functions as both a containment unit and a cosmic gateway. The Latin inscriptions tie the occult lineage to the modern architecture. Now, typically, paranormal films such as The Exorcist, Sinister, Midsommar, and Heredity tend to feature ancient characters from ancient religions like Pazuzu, Bagul, Ymir, and Paimon. But here we delve into a subject of grimoires, like the Necronomicon or Estridi Torchia's The Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows. Now I'm thinking of creating a new video for that book, The Nine Gates. Now here we have the Arcana. Even though Arthur tells his family to stay put in one place, they decide to go exploring instead. This, of course, is your typical horror movie trope where kids or teenagers or nannies don't listen and decide to go running around exploring and playing hide and seek. Now, the mansion is not an ordinary home, but a massive mechanical structure of glass and metal. Built by Uncle Cyrus, the occultist, it is essentially a machine powered by the trapped spirits, a fusion of architecture, technology, and black magic. The entire house operates as the Oculus Infernum, or Eye of Hell. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Dennis searches the basement looking for Cyrus's fortune. Being a medium, Dennis discovers to his horror that the basement is a prison for the ghost that Cyrus and he had captured. He sees dead souls, tortured souls, souls of murderers. Dennis runs back upstairs and confronts Arthur as he is about to sign the property paperwork that Ben is trying to get him to sign. He tries to tell Arthur about the wraiths, the disgruntled spirits, and finally has to resort to the term ghosts. Arthur, in one of his Mr. Monk moments, looks at Dennis with bewilderment and asks, "Goats?"
Goats?
While Dennis succumbs to a psychic seizure, Arthur tries to help him. And when Dennis recovers, they realize that Ben, the unscrupulous lawyer, has left the room and headed for the basement, where he knows that Cyrus placed his payment. Like Dennis, he discovers a pair of glasses that enables the wearer to see the spirits trapped in the basement. Being the jerk he is, he mocks the spirits, especially the angry princess. As he grabs the briefcase filled with cash, he unknowingly starts a series of mechanisms that start the house closing down and set into motion the dark descent into evil. The front doors lock while the family is inside, trapping them. The glass walls shift positions. In the Arcanum, each ghost of the Black Zodiac is associated with a Latin inscription beneath their symbol. For example, the jackal, Canis Arius, golden dog. The hammer, Malleus Ignis, fire hammer. The broken heart, Cordia Tactia, silent hearts. Now, the house was constructed following the Arcanum of the Black Zodiac, a demonic text. The 12 ghosts within represented the 12 earthly Black Zodiac signs, and when properly aligned, within the machine they opened the Oculus Infernum, a gateway that grants its controller ultimate demonic power and omniscient sight, the ability to see everything. Think of the Eye of Sauron. The house is a machine, and this dark machine is alive with demonic forces. So today, let's unlock the mystery of the Oculus Infernum, and now we're examining the special key that unlocks the door to this machine, which summons the dark forces. This replica comes from Dark Matter Props on Etsy. I've used dark matter props in the past and will in the future. Now check out my headpiece to the Staff of Ra, or my mummy videos to see the Boris Karloff's mummy scarab ring. Or, coming up this Christmas season, my Krampus bell. Now the key comes in an envelope. I want to create a video about the Arcanum, a grimoire written by Bacillus, the creator of the Bacillus machine that calls the demons from hell. It has the authentic look and weight of the original screen-used prop. Now, the replica is 1.1 scale, with both sides faithfully recreating the key from the movie. The key itself is 3.25 inches long, or 83 centimeters, and is 1.75 inches or so. For our friends outside the United States, it's 4.4 centimeters. Now the key is 0.19 inches thick, 4.5 millimeters for our friends, and weighs 1.9 ounces. That's 54 grams. Now it has a decent weight to it. Now the key is cast in solid metal and plated with a lightly brushed gold finish. Now, as far as this film goes, the plot is straightforward, but the unfolding mystery surrounding the house and the ghost keeps the audience engaged. The acting is solid, with Tony Shalhoub bringing emotional weight to the role of a grieving parent, and Matthew Lillard delivering one of the film's standout performances with frantic charm. The pacing is quick, rarely slowing down. John Frizzell's soundtrack leans into an unsettling atmosphere, helping build the tension. Now, where the film truly shines is in the set design. The glass-walled house, etched with glowing containment spells, provides a unique, memorable setting. The makeup and the creature design for each ghost is, how should I say it, creative, disturbing, and still impressive decades later. Director Steve Beck embraces the bold visual style that gives the movie some personality, even when the narrative becomes kind of predictable. Now, it's rated R, and rightly so. The film received mixed to negative reviews from the critics, who often criticized its story and character depth. However, 13 Ghosts has developed a strong cult following among horror fans, who appreciate its memorable visuals, energy, and darkly fun tone. If the film had devoted more time to the character development and emotional stakes, it could have been more impactful. Still, as a stylish, spooky thrill ride, 13 Ghosts remains on my Halloween watch list. So please, share your comments about the content of this video. Let me know what you think. Make some comments. Get the algorithm going. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, consider giving it a like to help the AI overlords or the algorithm. Subscribe and ring the bell to get notified whenever I do put out some more content. It's been a very busy season, but I'm still trying to get stuff out there. And watch this video right there for more cosplay and film prop fun.